seen, the whole thing, and it was perfect.
The White House previously said swelling in his lower legs was due to chronic venous insufficiency. Federal prosecutors want to block New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell from unsupervised contact with her former bodyguard Jeffrey Vappy. Both face 18 counts, including conspiracy and wire fraud. A hearing is set for October 31st. And former NFL star Adrian Peterson was arrested in Sugar Land, Texas for DWI and unlawful carrying of a weapon. Police say it happened Sunday morning, marking his second DWI arrest this year. 40-year-old Peterson ranks 5th all-time in NFL rushing yards. Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Good morning, wake up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
Adjust my chair. Got me feeling like I'm a munchkin or something. Been a long time since I've been that short. But,
that's right.
I am Will Sutton, and right here with me is Dr. Full Professor, Pastor,
Good morning.
Father.
Yes, husband. Don't leave that out. Yeah.
Yep.
She heard me. She heard me.
Sanders.
Yes, good morning. Good to be here again.
Good to have you
Day
back.
two.
Good to
Day
have
two.
You back.
Yes.
Boy.
What a morning.
What a morning.
Fall
what
is
a morning.
coming. Huh?
Yeah. I mean, as folks who watch on Facebook know, I normally have a cap on.
Uh-huh.
And I was getting suited up because I'm going to the Urban League conference.
I might head down there myself.
And I'm on a panel. So,
okay.
And I'm going to go to the lunch, and it's like, okay, let me spoof up a little bit.
Yes.
And as a part of getting dressed this way instead of normally, I left my cap.
Yep, that's right.
And it's like, and I get outside, I was like, woo!
Yeah. You can feel. Well, they said tomorrow morning, definitely got to be ready. You're gonna feel a little different.
Yeah. Boy,
and I was like, wait a minute, what time is it? And I saw it was still dark. I was like, well, this Sunday is the time goes.
Yeah, I got to turn those
forward
clocks.
Or back, whatever.
Yeah.
Spring forward, fall back. Yeah, fall back. So fall it back, y'all, on Sunday morning.
Yep,
but still be on time to church, y'all. Be on time to church, even though you got to fall back on Sunday.
Yeah, I know there were some people who decided to visit St. Matthew's Cathedral on Sunday because right around 8 o'clock it was 100% rain.
Yeah.
So I know there were a number of sanctuaries that.
That's right.
It's I'll catch you online.
Weren't as full as they normally would be.
Yeah, right. Well, you went to the Pelican game last night. How we do?
Yeah, no, I enjoyed the game. They make it very entertaining, and it was somewhat competitive. I mean, the Celtics would pull away about 9 or 10 points, and then the Pelicans would slowly creep back, bring it like to 4 points, maybe sometimes 3. And then the Celtics would go and run it up again. And then, so that was kind of the tenor of the whole game. Zion did not play. He had a left foot contusion.
Was he suited?
He was there. He was in street clothes. Yeah,
okay.
It was in street clothes. But it won't be. He'll probably be back in the next game or so. But Jason Tatum on the Celtics side was there in street clothes. He's still rehabbing his Achilles or ACL. I forget which one it is. But so it was good to see him at least there sitting on the bench. So my first home game of the season. I encourage everybody to go out and support him. Willie Green needs the support as the coach, and they have a good squad. They have a lot of young guys, so at least they can run. Derek Queen and a really good sign was DeAndre Jordan, who's a veteran.
Yeah.
But he came in and made a significant impact. And see, he's kind of going to be a mentor for the young guy Misi, who's I think in his second year now. But yeah, he showed some impact right away.
So it was obvious he was a veteran.
Oh yeah. So overall, it was enjoyable. Even though, of course, it wasn't as bad as the score. Look, the score I think we lost by like 20. But like in the last 4 minutes, kind of things went crazy. But most of it was kind of competitive.
Yeah. One of the things I wonder about when we or any other team gets an experienced player added, like after the season starts or just as the season starts, it's like how well are they going to do with the plays?
Yeah.
But the real veterans, it's like, I've seen this play before. Somewhere along the way. And so I get what you're doing.
That's right.
I can adapt.
Yeah.
So,
It was no problem for him at all. No problem for it at all.
Well, great.
So it was good. And so yesterday we had you want to tell people what's going to happen later on today first? I guess, or
sure, we can do that. But let's tell people about Melissa.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Man,
the hurricane.
That thing is threatening like crazy. It's up to 175 miles per hour. We were on air yesterday and talking about it being crazy high winds, about 160. Now it's up to 175. And so it is producing, hear this, 15 to 30 inches of rain. 15 to 30 inches of rain and 40 inches possible in some parts of Jamaica. So they're expecting deadly landslides, particularly from the mountains, something we don't have to worry about because we're below sea level.
That's right. Ain't too many mountains around here.
Yeah, and with that much rain, the ground can only soak up so much so fast.
Yes.
And so that leads to landslides. So this is likely to be the most fierce hurricane that Jamaica has ever experienced. And there are already been 7 deaths in the Caribbean, so in that vicinity. So we need to watch out for that and say some prayers for those folks. It's just about 50 miles away from Jamaica, and it's been moving slowly.
Yeah, like 5 miles.
Which is part of the problem because it's not hitting land and then slowing down. Yeah, and it's just moving really fast.
We're all hurricane experts of a sort here. Say, is it fast or slow moving? All right, is it coming on the west or the east? Yeah. We know about those impacts.
Indeed. So that's not cool. We're going to be hearing about the GOP scorecard this morning. So that's going to be coming up. And what is that? Well, you might be fooled by the name GOP scorecard. What it really is looking at the various politicians on both sides of the aisle, Republican and Democrat, to see who's voting in sync with President Trump most of their time in their positions versus who's voting not as often with the president. So that's going to be an enlightening conversation. Yes. I am looking forward to that.
Ryan McGowan, CEO of the Institute for Legislative Analysis.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that. It's always interesting to talk with people with the deep data knowledge and the numbers in front of them. I'm sure there'll be some questions we'll have, and that maybe the audience will have it as well. Definitely. Who else we got?
Yeah, at the second hour, the 8 o'clock hour, we have Dr. Lauren Smith. She's the Vice President of Strategic Portfolios with the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, excellent foundation that funds a lot of health-related initiatives. And, of course, we're talking about vaccinations and measles rising and other things rising. So, what all of us need to do to be on the lookout for contagious diseases, how to help our children, grandchildren. There's a lot of misinformation out there. So we're going to get the right information from the right source later on this morning. So tune in and make sure that someone who needs to hear this information, they may be confused. I know we may have some anti-vaxxers out there, but hear from the professionals about what they say, and the scientists about what's the real deal.
Indeed. Yeah, I made some time and went to Baton Rouge today for the big
yesterday?
voting rights mobilization
Okay.
on the Capitol steps. I was very pleased. There were scores and scores of people out, and buses and cars kept pulling up, and people were there from Lafayette and Alexandria, Shreveport, Monroe, Baton Rouge, of course, New Orleans, of course, and a number of other communities. And it was really nice to see so many students and young people.
All right.
It was very noticeable. So you had a number of people with larger than high school bodies.
Yes.
And a number of people with gray hair, and some people walking around with canes and walkers, and then there are all these energetic and vigorous young people.
Yes.
A number of them were there from NAACP student chapters.
Okay.
Which is great. And others were there from local chapters in schools. And I really love seeing that because, as a number of the speakers said, this fight has been going on for decades.
Yes.
And it cannot stop.
Yes.
And if ever there's a reason that we see why it cannot stop, just take a look at what's happening. And the two bills passed the Senate on Saturday to move the election dates by 1 month.
Yeah.
And yesterday they were there. So the legislature's in session yesterday, special session. And essentially their business was done in 15 to 30 minutes.
Yes.
Why?
Yeah.
Because they knew what they wanted to do.
They knew what they wanted to do.
They knew what they wanted to do.
They had the debate already.
And they basically have to stay there or turn around and go home and come right back today because they expected to move that out of committee and then wrap it up either today or tomorrow and be done.
Yes.
And, so many people looking at what's happening with the special session and saying it's really not that serious. All they're doing is moving the dates.
Yeah.
All they're doing is moving the dates. Yeah? Really? Okay. Well, if you had that thought in your mind, if you heard any of what was happening yesterday with the Louisiana Legislative Black Caucus, the Power Coalition, NAACP, and a number of other groups that were out there, 100 Black Women, I hope you know now or come to learn that this is just a step. And as State Senator Edmund Jordan said, this is the first step of the the Trump two-step in Louisiana. So they're doing this, and then they're setting it up to make a move so they can redraw the districts that they approved.
That's right.
Not that long ago.
That's right. I think one of the legislators, I think it was maybe Gary Carter, who last week maybe or so said when he was interviewing or interrogating one of the election officials and said, hey, I feel like, I'm learning that Santa Claus doesn't exist anymore, kind of thing. And said that jokingly, but in the sense that, y'all are really like ripping, the veneer off of this, what's supposed to be fair and just saying, forget about fairness now. We're just going to do what we want to do. And it doesn't matter how it looks, And so that's some people say maybe it's good. We're seeing the real deal. There's no hiding behind anything now. But, it brings to mind that we, again, must vote, because it didn't have to look that way in the legislature already in terms of that, and the governor's mansion could look differently if more of us had voted, so
no question.
Yeah. So we have to take that a level of accountability, but that doesn't excuse the craziness that we see today.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, that is something to continue watching. We're pretty sure we know what's going to happen in this special legislative session. And though we expect changes to come from the Voting Rights Act case, Louisiana versus Calais, it's a matter of degree and how far they will go, what kinds of changes that we make. So we really don't know what will happen.
That's right.
Ideally, they'll say, you know what, Forget about all this. We're just going to leave it the same.
Yeah.
That's not likely to happen with
Yeah.
6 of the 9 justices having ruled on some things the way that they have. But we can hope for the best. And one way to go beyond that hope is to have our voices heard.
That's right.
And that's why yesterday was so important, not just for the Louisiana legislature, but so that people across the nation can see that there are voices against what's happening.
That's right.
With this gerrymandering and redistricting to redistrict black people out.
Yeah. And speaking of the need to vote, yesterday we had a great forum.
How about that?
With our District E candidates, Cindy Wynn and Jason Hughes. And
what did you think?
Oh, I enjoyed it thoroughly. I mean, I think at least, they both, directly addressed the questions that were put before them. That was feedback that I'd gotten, so whether you like the answers or not,
Right.
they were pretty direct. They weren't, trying to be evasive. I think, you clearly could see what each brings differently to the table in terms of maybe their approach and what have you. I think it's clear that they, both know District E very well, obviously as a former councilwoman and having sat in that chair, but Mr. Hughes and from his seat knows the district. So it's going to be exciting to see, what the voters say. And of course, turnout is going to be the key since it's
absolutely,
not quote unquote a big election with a whole lot of other things on the ballot.
Right.
But it is a big election for District E.
Absolutely. We got a call. Good morning, Ms. Jones. How are you? Ms. Jones, are you there?
About this voting that we have November 15th, we have some parish-wide propositions, 3 of them, long statements. And could somebody get on the air to explain?
Yeah, we'll have that this week. We're going to have it in pieces and in whole across the week, particularly on Friday.
Yes, because early voting,
sometimes
I do that. I'll have to wait on it.
So we're not going to wait until Friday, but we're going to have some parts of that definitely tomorrow and Thursday, and then we're going to have a larger segment on Friday to let everybody know about the importance of those ballot measures as well. So that would definitely be happening. Did you hear the forum yesterday?
No, I didn't. I had been busy with someone who
All right.
was sick surgery and what have you.
All right, no problem. I hope everything went well. Well, it's recorded and it's on the station's Facebook page. Thank you for the reminder and the poke. We accept that.
That's right.
We accept that. All right.
Okay.
It's coming up. All right.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. It is time for a break. And Ryan, hold on, please. We see you. We're going to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to take a call. And we'll continue with some of the news and information that you want to hear, that you should hear, that you need to hear, so that you can go about your day being informed. This is WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about.
All day long.
All day long.
Good morning. I'm Daryl Forges with WDSU News, and here's your headlines. This morning, at least 2 people are recovering after being shot in Central City. New Orleans police say it happened on 2nd Street in Galvez. We're working to learn more about what led up to the shooting, the condition of the victims, and anything about a suspect. As New Orleans deals with an issue, some city leaders say the state capitol should be part of the solution when it comes to funding. Their call comes as the city prepares to ask the State Bond Commission for a $125 million loan to keep paying employees and cover city contracts. At yesterday's hearing, Councilmember Eugene Green said the state holds the keys to major economic boosters in the city. Attorney General Liz Murrow reacted to the city's cash crisis, saying that Mayor-elect Helena Moreno has pledged to and is working closely with the legislative auditor, which the AG supports, and encouraged Moreno to do so. And the stalemate continues over on Capitol Hill as the government shutdown goes into day 28. And by the end of the week, SNAP food stamp benefits will no longer have federal funding, causing concern for millions of Americans. The U.S. Department of Agriculture says it will not tap into its $6 billion contingency fund to cover food stamp benefits next month if the government shutdown continues. And here at home, Governor Jeff Landry issued an emergency order so that residents in the state will receive SNAP benefits. Landry says benefits from previous months can still be used. However, new benefits will not be loaded onto SNAP cards until the government reopens. I'm Daryl Forges, and that's your headlines for WBOK. Have a great day.
This is the Bloomberg Black Business Beat, brought to you by FidelityWealthManagement.com. Sports valuations are skyrocketing, and so are the number of big money investors looking to get a piece of a team. But is that recent rush into sports causing team valuations to go too high? Rashawn Williams, a successful venture capitalist and person of color, is among a group of investors launching a new private equity fund seeking to take small stakes in U.S. sports teams. And he spoke to Bloomberg about why he's not worried about private equity firms pushing team valuations higher than they should be.
On the cover, it appears that more private equity coming in is going to drive the prices up. But if you peel back the layers, you'll see private equity is not allowed to own majority stakes in most of these leagues, just minority stakes. They're all capped at small percentages that private equity can own. So the majority stakes and the control owners of these teams are still families. They're still individuals. They set the price.
Williams is also a limited partner in the NFL's Atlanta Falcons. I'm Bloomberg's Justin Milliner on the Black Business Beat.
Working as a dedicated Fidelity advisor, I always ask, what's important to you? I'll look at those priorities and goals alongside your full financial picture to build a comprehensive plan designed to help grow and protect your wealth. With proactive portfolio insights and an eye on taxes, I'm here to help you make the most of your money. I'm Laura Maxwell, and I'm a dedicated Fidelity advisor. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC, member NYSE, SIPC.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at VaxAssist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
WBOK 1230 AM. It's 7:27 AM. You got to be somewhere at 7:30. I hope it's on the other side of the bed. Otherwise, if you're getting yourself together and you are running late, but slow down. School zone's in effect until 9 o'clock, and we want you to watch out for the babies and the youth, even those with the hair on their face. So be careful out there. It's a beautiful fall day.
Yes.
But don't get so comfortable that you're not paying attention. I am Will Sutton, and right here is with me is Dr. Torrin Sanders.
Good morning.
And we are happy to be with you, and we'd love to hear from and about you. The WBOK 1230 AM talk line is 504-582-9422, 504-582-9422. Right now, we're going to jump into conversation with Ryan McGowan. He is from the Institute
for Legislative Analysis.
And
right.
that might not be an organization you've heard of before, or you've heard it in passing. But we're going to hear more about the organization and the work that they do, and the scorecard that they have. Welcome to the Good Morning Show, Ryan. How are you, sir?
Hey, good morning, Will. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
I'm doing well.
Absolutely. So for starters, we definitely want to find out more about the Institute and definitely about the scorecard. But for our listening audience, why don't you tell us a little bit about Ryan? Who are you before the Institute came along. Where are you from? How did you become the Ryan you are today?
Well, that's a long story. I'll try to keep it as short as possible. I grew up in the D.C. area, went to college at the University of Tennessee, had a concentration in accounting and finance, got a master's in accountancy. So I'm really I'm a numbers guy by trade. That's where I started my career. I was a public accountant at KPMG. Went on the private side for a few years, did some management consulting. And then in 2016, I just had my first child. I was looking for a more steady job where I'm not traveling as much. Didn't really have that much of a political bone in my body at that point in time. I had some ideas and some opinions on things policy-wise, but I wasn't very read up and knowledgeable about everything that was going on from a policy standpoint at that point. And this job got presented to me from the American Conservative Union. Didn't know much about them at the time either, but I knew I would be working in D.C., not traveling. So it seemed like a good opportunity. I'd be covering everything from a financial perspective. So that's really where my policy, chop started kicking in, working at ACU for 7 years as the CFO. That's the group that puts on the conference CPAC. And that's where I met the policy team there. And I was really impressed by the work they were doing at from the legislative rating perspective, diving into the legislative journals, dissecting what's going on at the federal and state level, picking a robust sample of bills, explaining what those bills do, and then putting a value judgment on that bill, whether, conservatives should support or oppose any given bill. So about 3 years ago, we took that policy team from ACU, started our own organization called the Institute for Legislative Analysis, with the hope of expanding on our research, doing more robust sampling at the state level, having a more comprehensive look at the federal level, really compiling a very comprehensive data set so we could track trends, really kind of pinpoint the ideology of each lawmaker based on their voting record, and most importantly, distribute that information to the people so they had that information ready so they could get a better idea of who's really representing them. I think you all probably know this too. Politicians are highly trained individuals. They know how to talk. They know how to explain, the positions that they think people want to hear. But what people don't really know is how they vote, because they do a lot of voting, particularly at the state level. I mean, they're probably voting on 3,000 bills a session, and this is usually like in a 3-month span. So it's kind of remarkable that they're able to do that much in that short amount of time. But, it's really hard or almost impossible for the regular working American to really understand what bills are being voted on and how their lawmakers are taking positions on those bills. So that's really where ILA comes in to provide that as a resource.
About how large is your organization, and where does your funding come from?
Well, we're individual donor funded.
Okay.
And, we're a team of 6 right now, 5 full-time employees, 1 consultant. When we started ILA, we didn't really have any seed money. I mean, it was myself and our president, Fred McGrath. We kind of put some money together so we could pay the other team members to start. And we just went out and, tried to talk to as many donors as possible, then pitch them on the idea of how we can be pretty much a data hub for the rest of the movement. Now, we work with mostly conservative organizations, but at the end of the day, the data is the data. And, I think that can be used from any given ideological organization. If they, may not agree on every position we take from the position statement standpoint, but, the sheer fact of having that analysis on what the bill actually does, and then you can, either take a conservative position or a more liberal position on any given bill. But I think the fact that we have that data set is what the most valuable piece of what we do.
Great. So, of course, we're in Louisiana. So We have more Democrats registered, but we clearly vote conservative in lots of elections across the state, and particularly statewide. So let's dive into some of the data that you've collected. I believe it's called GOPscorecard.com. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. That's the new system that we just published in the last month. And we have other systems as well, but this one is more geared towards, so we took the 2024 Republican Party platform, the America First agenda, used those articles and the positions on every policy that the GOP, rubber stamped and said these are our positions, and took the data at the federal level and tied it to, does this match up and align with the GOP party, and does this not? So that's essentially what the system does. It gives a picture of who's aligned with President Trump, but also the Republican Party platform in general.
Yeah. Good morning, Mr. Ryan. This is Dr. Sanders. I'm co-hosting this morning. How are you?
I'm doing well, sir.
Great. Yeah. A question I noticed, on the scorecard, you mentioned some key national findings. One of them being, Democrats rarely aligned with Trump, but when they did, it was most often on foreign policy or civil liberty. And then you also mentioned when Republicans most frequently broke with Trump on spending issues by holding true on crime-related legislation. I guess I want to, because you mentioned data is data, which I agree, and you can use it from either side. Right now we're in a fix with this government shutdown. How could this data help us in terms of dealing with this government shutdown?
Well, that's a great question. Louisiana is a good example. You do have, at the federal level at least, and we're working on state level data in Louisiana as well. But at the federal level, there's obviously a Republican majority in terms of representation. But what we see a lot of times, is particularly in these southern states, is the Republicans that have a very conservative constituency base. And what I mean by that is the electorate. They're almost a shoo-in to win every general election. These Republicans have been in office for a long time. We call them swampy-ish here in D.C. because they are not very strong when it comes to tax and fiscal issues. They're more establishment views from that perspective. And from our mindset, if you're representing a very conservative district, your voting record should represent that district. And what we're continually seeing in red states is that they are not carrying the flag for their constituents as much as they should be. And it's surprisingly, it's mostly the blue state and swing state Republicans that are voting more in line with President Trump, the Republican Party, from a principled standpoint with the Republican position. So I say all that because, look, I think in terms of the shutdown, and you're going to hear multiple different viewpoints on why the shutdown occurred. Personally, I was talking about this the other day. I think the Republicans kind of messed up the negotiation standpoint, and I think we knew going into it that Democrats, particularly in the Senate, had their views on healthcare and funding and increasing that. I think we would have just passed a bill that cut spending by 1% originally, right? Knowing that the Democrats would probably push back and, make a lot of complaints about that cutting spending, right? The bill would have been killed. And then we could have ultimately just presented the same bill that was ultimately passed by the House, the clean CR, no material changes to the budget whatsoever. It was the Biden-era budget. And then that would have put the Democrats in a really tough PR position to hold out on that, right, which would have kept the government open. I think we're nearing the shutdown ending at this point. I know there's been a lot of chatter in D.C. about that. Obviously, we hope the shutdown is closed. I live in D.C. No one wants to see a shutdown. It affects everybody, not just in D.C., but nationwide. It has a lot of ramifications. And I think, Republicans want to see it end. I think Democrats want to see it end too. And they're just going to have to get together and do their job and come up with a plan that makes sense to get the government back open.
Yeah, because two things I guess I wanted to share, based upon what you just said, here in Louisiana, whereas, nationwide, I guess SNAP benefits are not going to happen for a lot of people starting on November 1st. But of course, here in Louisiana, the Republicans have basically, and others have put together a plan to fund SNAP for the month of November using state funds. And of course, that's not really a surprise because we are a high poverty state. And, I guess whether you're Republican or Democrat, it's like that would be a disaster to see so many people go without food because of the government being shut down, so to speak. But the other part, I guess, of this is when we look at, again, the funding piece, I'm wondering, the healthcare issue is what Democrats nationally are talking about in terms of their holding their ground to stop any explosion of increases in the healthcare. And of course, I like your analysis of the voting, on the healthcare issue itself. I know, after Obama care went into effect, there were several attempts on the Republican side to get rid of that, but it seemed like in the last 4 or 5 years or more that has kind of gone away. What's been happening on the voting side of that? Or what's your analysis of how that issue plays into the shutdown, if I'm making sense?
Well, I don't think that. Look, the bill that was passed ultimately had no material changes to the Medicaid, Medicare, and the funding of those types of benefit plans or programs. The shutdown occurred because, look, the Democrats wanted more. And look, I understand that. You're always going to want to ask for more and more. But the reality is, too, you look at our national debt and you look at how much we've spent even since 2020. And I know COVID, hit us out of nowhere. And it was one of those situations that had to be dealt with. But eventually we have to come up with a way to rein in spending and do that in a reasonable way, right? Where we're not completely affecting all those impoverished folks that are on these types of programs. But that's why I was so happy with the DOGE program when it came in. And I thought, this will be really good. We can find, because look, there's so much wasteful spending. I mean, I saw this when I was a public accountant. I actually was a federal auditor working at a few agencies, reviewing their financials. And it kind of shocked me. I'm like, why are we spending so much money on all these different things that don't seem to really have an impact on the everyday lives of Americans? And there's a lot of that happens that I think could be cut, right? And we could still keep a lot of these programs that have been in place for decades and generations. But we need to find a way to cut all the wasteful spending possible, because we can't continue this trajectory where every year we keep passing budget after budget, CR after CR, where we're increasing the debt limit to spend $7+ trillion now. I think it's close to $8 trillion a year. Eventually that bubble is going to burst, and we have to find a way to at least not increase spending and find ways to cut as much as possible, like I said, while still making sure we're being responsible about it.
Well, the national debt was increased by about 7.8 or $8 trillion during Trump's first term, and now it's hit $38 trillion in debt now. So even with some more conservative policies, we're still spending money, but we're spending money in the places where President Trump thinks we should spend money. So it's not really decreasing the debt. And so we clearly are calling waste different things, because some people consider SNAP benefits waste, but I don't think many SNAP benefit recipients would call that waste. And I don't think anyone would argue that if somebody is not doing their job, or a contractor is being paid for work they're not doing, or if a contractor is doing shabby work, that yes, that would be considered waste. So how do you justify the increasing debt with spending? And I'll use ICE for example. A lot of money is being spent on ICE. We had a recent recruiting program here, and they're offering people $50,000, I think it is, to sign up. That's a lot of money. Those individuals wouldn't consider it waste, but for the work that they're being done, some people might.
Yeah, and look, I'll be the first to tell you, we actually did an analysis before the 2024 election on the presidential candidates on the GOP side, and that was the biggest area that we did not align with Trump on, and we got a lot of flack for it. I have a lot of conservative friends, obviously, in the D.C. area. Like, how dare you say anything negative about Trump? But the reality was, we spent too much money, right? And I think it gets back to the point of what we're trying to accomplish here, and we may have different viewpoints on this, or on different sides of the political aisle, but I think everybody on the Republican Party side needs to come to a consensus on how do we fix the spending problem. And I feel like we have too many Republicans in Congress now that have been in there for way too long, that continue to just want to spend and spend and spend and not come up with a real solution on how we get a balanced budget, on how, we have sane fiscal policies from a spending standpoint.
Yeah.
Okay, we got a caller right now. Good morning, James. You're on the line with Ryan McGowan.
Hey, good morning. Y'all kind of touched on my point of contention. We still spending money.
Right.
So how can you explain Doge and we still spending money? I believe we spent a substantial amount of the budget with Doge. How is the waste justified? Nobody's showing me where we're wasteful, how we're wasteful. It's one thing to say I ran a commission or a company that did audits, and you can say where you saw the waste, but like Will said, your definition of waste and my definition of waste are two different things. I'm sure the farmers didn't think SNAP was a waste because some of those in the SNAP policy, milk, eggs, these things come along with the benefit or the WIC programs, and we talking about slashing stuff that, like, all this stuff is individually and uniquely tied in together. So when you look at it or I look at it, we may process that information totally differently. But the farmers look at those programs and they say, well, wait a minute. Now what am I going to do with all this product that I have?
Right.
You see where I'm going with this?
Yeah,
like
your point.
We've all sat around and listened to the talking points of, oh, man, there's so much waste, there's so much waste. Show us how. That has not been done yet. Thank you for taking my call.
Okay.
Thank you. We have another call?
Yes, we got another call. Thanks, James. Appreciate it. Good morning, Tamika.
Oh, I think we lost Tamika.
Okay. All right.
And I have one last question. I know we're getting ready to wrap up. One of your findings also here for Louisiana in terms of members of Congress most aligned and least aligned with President Trump. Least aligned you have is, not you, but the data that you collected is Bill Cassidy, Senator Bill Cassidy at 76% and Julia Letlow at 75%. Based upon your experience and estimation, is that then placing Mr. Cassidy in a weak position for re-election?
Well, Cassidy, again, it's a statewide election, but Louisiana is a very deep red state from an electorate standpoint. I would say yes, and honestly, from Senator Cassidy, we do another analysis as well. Our flagship system is called the Limited Government Index, And that is not based on the GOP party platform. That's based on the Constitution and the limited government principles of the Constitution. And it's more economic in nature, so it doesn't include a lot of the social issues. And if you look at that system, where you also add in the election data to show what the constituency makeup is, I think Cassidy gets about a 60%. And I think we have an algorithm that shows, based on Louisiana statewide, it should be closer to about an 88%. So he is clearly underperforming his state and the conservative makeup of his state. So yes, I do think that puts him in a vulnerable position. And I think it's good. I think we need to continue to test these candidates. And to your last caller's point, I agree with him. That's why, we're trying to provide transparency on how the lawmakers vote. I wish there was more transparency on how the government spends its money, whether you agree with that position or not. That should be available to every American to access and know exactly how this money is being spent. So we can make judgments and we can call our representatives and voice our concerns or support whether or not we agree or disagree with what the spending looks like.
Ryan, we got a call, and we're going to take the call with Tamika. But before we let you go, I'd like you to walk through the ratings of our congressional and other leaders in Louisiana. So we just want you to be prepared for that. And if you could do it with each of our congressional representatives, that would be great, or whatever you have handy, so that our listeners will know how they were scored based on your scorecard. All right, we're going to take that call from Tamika. Good morning, Tamika.
Good morning. Good morning, gentlemen. How are you today? Good morning.
Good morning. You're on the line with Mr. Ryan McGowan.
Hi, Mr. McGowan. Good morning. I listened to, the last caller and obvious, you guys talking points or whatnot. I'm just a little confused in respect to the Republican Party and even their constituents. I guess my difficulty with what's going on in Congress, in the White House, Republicans' talking point is always about, saving money, cutting waste. And unfortunately, we have a president that's in the White House who is currently tearing down the East Wing, or he's tore it down, to build a ballroom that has cost in the amount of close to $350 million. I don't understand how that is going to allow America to prosper. We also can, by the stats, America is now in debt of $38 trillion. And unfortunately, we have a Congress right now, to me, on both sides. I don't feel like anyone is doing their job for the citizens of the United States of America. I think we're at a point now where it seems like this is a game. I also heard, in regards to the shutdown, which I'm a news person, and I'll look at the news on all different angles. I'm not just a person who's going to watch CNN, MSNBC. I want to really know all the details, all the facts before I make any type of judgment. But at this time, in regards to the shutdown, I'm listening to both sides, and I don't see anyone coming to the table to negotiate. I listen to the Republicans, they get on television, of course they're blaming Democrats. Oh, it's the Democrats' fault. It's the Democrats' fault. And then of course I'm listening to the Democrats, and, what it looks like to me in sincerity is, we want to come back to the table and negotiate, not just allow you guys to force a bill on Americans, and it's basically a disaster. You have rural towns that are closing down hospitals, because, of course, Medicaid has been cut for majority of the rural areas. I looked at the stats, and I've been knowing this for years. It's almost 42% of our white Americans who do get food stamps and WIC. 24% are black, and I think it's maybe roughly 16% in regards to Hispanics and other races. It just seems like Republicans, they're not serving their constituents. They're serving Donald Trump, but I just don't see that they're serving their constituents. And unfortunately, the constituents seem to have blinders on because it's them that are losing out. It's them that are losing benefits that are going to help them. I'm guessing because they're not enough jobs in their areas, but they're the ones that benefit on these type of programs that are going to help them survive. And it just doesn't make sense to me, and I do hear Republicans all the time, we want to cut waste, but since Trump has been in office, each time he's caused the deficit to tank more and more and more. Where is the talking point? Where's the reality of them truly saving money? Because it just seems like it's Trump's agenda and no agenda at all. No agenda for the American people, no agenda to help cut costs if that's truly why they're in office. It just seems like everything right now is Republicans. As far as MAGA Republicans or Trump Republicans, I don't recognize the true Republican Party anymore. It just seems like this is now Trump. All the things that he's doing, he's blowing up boats in different countries. There's no due process. I don't understand what's going on. It's just very confusing, disheartening to me, and it's confusing to the American people because you see one thing or you hear one thing, but it's definitely, it just doesn't seem like right now the government is running for the people. It seems like they're running for Trump.
Tamika, let's get Mr. McGowan's response. Thank you for calling.
Thank you, guys. Have a wonderful day.
All right, you too.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Tamika. I could feel her passion there, obviously, and she had a lot of points and things that she was bringing up. She mentioned the East Wall and the White House, and I think, here are the facts. Yes, he's tearing down the East Wall. He's building a ballroom. As it stands now, it's not like he's the first president ever to do renovations on the White House. This has been done many times before. He's not using tax funds to do it. If the White House wanted to throw an event, and they throw multiple events in every administration, they have to rent out a space somewhere else using taxpayer money. So I don't understand why, and I know with our media atmosphere, everyone wants to focus on, and blow things out of proportion. I think there are a lot of issues, obviously, that we could focus on, but, having a ballroom at the White House that can be used for a long, long time doesn't necessarily seem like a bad thing to me, especially when it's not taxpayer funded. So that's that point. But I agree with her on this. Here's the reality. Politicians, they have one job when they get elected, and they have one real mindset, it seems, and that's to get reelected. I'm a big advocate of term limits. I wish every lawmaker would get on side with that. I wish all the constituents would blow the horn on that, because when you're an elected official, you have one job: to serve your constituents. And they are your boss. We don't have that right now as it stands. We have talking points. We have, campaign slogans. We have messaging battles. But there's no real emphasis on the constituent base. Really, there's no transparency, right? And that's the little piece that we're trying to help with, at least. And you may not agree with our viewpoint on certain things, but at least getting the data out there so there is more accountability on how the lawmakers are voting. And you can give the constituents a voice and information and arm them with these tools to go to their, call their constituent or call their elected officials and ask them questions why they voted a certain way on this or that. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I'm some big DC, insider that knows every little thing. I'm in my wheelhouse of looking at the bills, analyzing the policy, and producing that data in multiple different ways and giving that data openly to every American so that they have the information, like I said, they need, or at least more information to know exactly what's going on and how lawmakers are voting.
Ryan, before you go, can you give us the scores on our congressional delegation?
Yeah. So in terms of ranking for Louisiana, the highest ranked on the GOP scorecard was Rep. Clay Higgins, coming in at 89.35%. Next is Mike Johnson. And keep in mind, at this point in time, Mike Johnson, he was Speaker of the House halfway through the session. This is 2024 data. So it's not a full, he didn't vote on every bill, but he did come in at around an 85%. Senator John Kennedy is next with an 80%, 80.6. Steve Scalise with a 77%. Senator Bill Cassidy, who we were talking about earlier, with a 76%. Julia Letlow at a 75%, and Troy Carter at a 7.12%. So that's the list there on the GOP scorecard. But I'd say go to limitedgov.org. We have multiple other rating platforms and systems that evaluate things in a different metric. So not just the GOP party platform, but the Constitution. We also have a lot of partner groups that use our data to produce their own rating systems on their methodology. So I encourage everybody to go to limitedgov.org and, look around and check out all the different rating systems and just, gather as much information as you can.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Ryan McGowan. That was very informative, and I appreciate your transparency about what the work that you and your colleagues do at the Institute, and where you're in sync with President Trump and where you're not, particularly on financial issues. And thank you for the information about our congressional delegation, the leaders that have been elected to represent us in Washington, D.C. Hope you'll consider coming back and talking with our WBOK family of listeners more so that we can better understand some of these things, particularly when it comes to money. Thank you so much for joining us, and have a blessed day.
Thank you, Will. It was great talking with you.
Thank you.
All right, great talking to you.
Thank you.
All right,
hey,
so
time for a break, and after the break, Dr. Lauren Smith from the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation.
Oh, yeah, man. The Robert Wood Johnson Foundation has been doing some incredible work over so many years, and I'm really happy that we're going to be talking with Dr. Smith coming up right after the break. This is WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about.
All day long.
All day long.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
Partly cloudy and warm today with highs ranging from about 79 to 83 degrees. We'll see increasing clouds this evening as a cold front approaches tonight, bringing along a few showers, leaving out by early Wednesday morning. Big changes for Wednesday, much cooler. And eventually we'll see highs only rising into the upper 60s, lower 70s. Very windy conditions are expected. From the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Reshaw.
Tune in to The Monitor's Mic, where we talk about oversight, policing, and you. Hosted by the Office of Independent Police Monitor, we're here to shine a light on policing issues that matter, from real-time policing updates to in-depth interviews. Every Friday at noon on WBOK.
A message from the community scientist. Do you live or work in St. James, St. John, St. Charles, Ascension, Calcasieu, Baton Rouge, or St. Bernard Parish? You may be exposed to harmful chemicals like phthalates, BPA, and flame retardants found in everyday products but linked to serious health risks. That's why the Community Scientist, a program of Rise St. James, brings you clear, science-based facts that protect your health and our environment. Stay informed, stay empowered. Visit risestjames.org today.
Meet Leanna, a part-time chef and full-time mom. In the past, Leanna didn't have health insurance because she didn't think she could afford it. What she didn't realize is she qualified for Medicaid. She loves the coverage and peace of mind that comes with high-quality care. The kind of care you get with Healthy Blue. This is Medicaid, and it's for more people than you think. Maybe even you. To see if you qualify, go to myhealthybluela.com. NOLA Zydeco Fest is on Saturday, November 1st at Heritage Park in Slidell, featuring great artists like Rusty McTwire, Lil Nate, Wayne Singleton, Dwayne Dopsy, Cubby Carrier, and more. Go to NOLAZydecofest.com for 2-for-1 tickets, gumbo cook-off details, line dance lessons by Game Over Skip, and more. Zydeco Fest is all about family. Kids 12 and under get in free. See you at Heritage Park in Slidell on November 1st for NOLA Zydeco Fest.
Come on down. Yeah, bring your bees.
A message from the Greater New Orleans East Business Alliance. New Orleans East is primed for economic development and growth. The East has an abundance of commercial space and vacant land available. The opportunity for development is endless. Come be a part of the economic rebuild. For more information, please give us a call at 504-957-3568. That's 504-957-3568. Building a strong New Orleans East makes a stronger New Orleans.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
Here on WBOK 1230 AM. I am Will Sutton, and with me is Pastor Torrin Sanders.
Good morning again. Good morning.
I'm
interesting segment there.
Man, that was something. That was pretty good. So, we knew we had, Ryan McGowan, conservative guy, coming on. Yeah. Didn't realize how out of sync he is with the president on financial issues, but that's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. Again, helps us understand that there's diversity of thought in all kinds of groups, including we, Black people, have diversity of thought.
That's right.
And apparently conservatives have some different opinion about Trump policies when it comes to money.
Yeah.
Apparently not on the ballroom. But, so coming up right now, we're going to be in conversation with Dr. Lauren Smith, Vice President of Strategic Portfolios at the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. Good morning, Dr. Smith. Good morning, Dr. Smith. Good morning, Dr. Smith. How are you?
I'm very well. Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. I'm Will Sutton, and with me is Dr. Torrin Sanders.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning to both of you.
All right. So we are interested in hearing what you and others are, what you have learned, what you know, as we continue some, I'll call it controversy, but I don't think it should be controversial since the data is the data and the research is the research. But we're in late October, about to head into the last 2 months of the year with holidays approaching. So let's just jump right in and tell us where we stand now with vaccinations and vaccination recommendations.
Well, thank you so much for having me, and I'm so glad that you're decided to offer your listeners, an opportunity to hear and to be thinking about this because it's so important. I started my pediatrics career 30 years ago, and so I've seen just how critical vaccines are to protecting not only children, but to protecting all of us. So I really want to sort of share with your listeners just how important vaccines have been as an incredible public health achievement. In the last 30 years, it's prevented, vaccines have prevented 1 million deaths, more than 30 million hospitalizations, and saved you're talking about money, saved $2.7 trillion in societal costs. So we know vaccines are safe and that they work, yet we also know that vaccine rates in the U.S. are declining.
Wow.
Yeah, and this is Dr. Sanders here. I guess I just want to go back for a second. I know you're at the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. Tell our listeners a little bit about what the foundation is all about and the foundation's interest in this issue.
Well, thank you. So at Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, we believe that health shouldn't be a privilege just for some, but a right for all. And So that means ensuring that everyone has high quality, affordable, comprehensive health care, that our public health systems are robust. And all of that does, in fact, include vaccinations, which, as I said, are one of our greatest public health achievements.
Yeah, and I think our listeners, this is we're a Black radio station. When you talk about vaccinations, is it true that vaccination history has an African historical aspect to it?
Well, I mean, I certainly think that there have been, in the development of vaccines, the observations that went into the development. I'm talking about like hundreds of years ago, that certain people were immune because of exposures that they had. Yes, that was something that many different people sort of recognized. I think now the situation we face is that essentially vaccines have been so effective at eliminating common diseases like measles, polio, rubella, and whooping cough. I don't know how old you all are, but when I was growing up in the 60s, those diseases have been really common, and so now people who grew up after those vaccines were introduced really don't have any firsthand experience of what those diseases can do. And so as they raise their own children, they don't have that firsthand knowledge to draw from.
Now, sometimes in our Black communities, there's a hesitation about vaccines. Does that seem to be true across the nation, true in terms of certain Black demographic groups? And how's that compared to white, Asian, Latino groups?
Well, I will say that as a Black woman and a mother of 3 now young adults, it was a priority for me to protect them against illnesses that I knew could cause harm. And in my practice in Massachusetts and inner city Boston, I saw really all comers, including folks that were born here in the U.S., as well as folks who had come from other countries. And all of the families that I saw were really quite focused on protecting their children. So I think that while there's understandably some concerns about trust or skepticism, I don't think that I would concentrate it in any particular population. I think that people have questions; they should get them answered by knowledgeable and experienced health professionals, and we can we are prepared to do that, so we can be in conversation with folks.
Yeah, Dr. Smith, could you talk to with some of this mistrust? Even again, our highest health official in the country, I guess, Mr. Kennedy, is frequently talking about certain studies that he's relying upon to make the statements that he's made regarding vaccinations. What's the source of some of these thoughts that are leading some people to believe that vaccines are not safe and reliable?
Well, I'm really glad you call attention to that, because we are in a very, I would say, deeply unfortunate situation where someone who should be promoting evidence and science and what we know to be true, having based on decades of both research and experience, but rather, as you mentioned, is promoting misinformation and frankly disinformation based on studies that aren't accurate, aren't rigorous, are flawed. And so that does end up creating what you just were describing, distrust, because people say, hey, this person's in charge and they're saying these things. I really would encourage folks to have their questions, if they have questions, if this is raising questions, to go to a health professional, their pediatrician, their internist, their family medicine doctor, their nurse practitioner, someone that they know and trust and who will have their best interest at heart, and who's knowledgeable and experienced. That's where folks at this point should be getting their information.
Yes.
So there are particular pieces of misinformation that have continued that you can help our listeners understand why it's misinformation?
Well, because the science and the extensive data that we have really shows just how safe vaccines are, how important it is to get them, and how we once were in a situation where we had very few measles cases, but now because of the decrease in vaccination rates, we've had over 1,600 measles cases this year, which has resulted in 12% of the folks who've gotten measles have been hospitalized, and for those young children under 5, 22%, or 1 in 5 of those who've gotten measles have been hospitalized. So that's real data, and we know that the vaccine is safe and effective and could prevent everything, that I was just describing.
Now, and if we can just switch just for a moment to, well, maybe not switch, but so with COVID now, I think my last shot was well over a year or so ago. Should I still be getting another shot now, so to speak, and then are there different recommendations that now, I guess, what is the current status of COVID and getting shots?
And does it make a difference which age demographic group you're in?
Yeah.
Well, certainly, yes, I would say. Although, officially you're outside my age range since I am a pediatrician. But I would strongly advise you to get both your seasonal flu shot as well as your COVID shot. And that's because they decrease the likelihood that you would get a serious, case of the flu or COVID that would require hospitalization. I want to make sure that you and your listeners know that getting the flu shot or the COVID shot doesn't necessarily mean you won't get flu or COVID. What it means is that you should be protected against a serious case that lands you in the hospital, which is what we're trying to do. So sometimes people say, well, gosh, I got my flu shot and I still got the flu. That's not really the way of judging its success.
Yes. Yeah. And I remember when the COVID vaccine first came out and I was just amazed. I was sitting at home praying for a vaccine. And then when it came out and our people saying, oh, it don't stop you from getting it. I said, but keep on reading. Read the next line, read the next paragraph. Yeah, right. If you get it now, maybe you won't die from it, And it was like, oh, okay. So, that matters, I think, huh?
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, but I think it's really, really important to sort of manage people's expectations about this so that they then don't develop a negative attitude about it because, they may get a case of the flu after. It's really about preventing you from being seriously ill and having to go to the hospital. And so you also asked, who might be at more, people who are older, people who have underlying health conditions, people who might have heart disease or asthma. Though, if you happen to fall into one of those categories, it's even more important to get a flu shot because if you get flu, you're more likely to have complications with it.
Yeah. And I think also, I want to ask, I know the current administration is limiting funding or has cut some funding related to vaccine, either education or actual vaccination availability. Is the foundation working to help supplement funding in certain areas? Is that a part of the strategy? Also, is it just education at this point?
No, it's both. And I think I'm really glad you brought that up because, there are gaps in vaccine access related to cost. And, ideally we would have an administration who was seeking to close those gaps and make it easier to get vaccines that we know are so beneficial, but they're doing the opposite. At the foundation, we are working with public health officials across the country, and especially in areas that recognize that they're not getting the kinds of support that they used to from the CDC because of all the changes that have gone on there and the firings and resignations of the skilled and dedicated folks. So we are supporting public health officials at the state level to communicate with their, constituents, folks who live there, to be able to purchase vaccines, to be able to track them, the kinds of things that the federal government used to do that and support, because it was just a key part of public health. Now they're not doing that anymore. So we are looking to support
Are you
state
funding
and local public health officials.
Yeah, are you funding anything in New Orleans right now? I know, and historically, I know I've been a part of some things years ago, like in the 90s or so. But is anything happening now in New Orleans?
Well, yes, there are some of the national work that we're doing that does include public health departments across the country, and I think that that's really important. You talk about Louisiana. Last year, there was about a 39% vaccination rate for the flu in the last year for which we had data, which is pretty low. And so, I would strongly encourage your listeners to at least have the conversation with their healthcare provider.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We hope you return and keep us up to date about vaccines generally, and especially on the front with COVID-19 and a number of the other vaccines. The vaccine education is critically important, and I agree with you that the naysayers are not large in numbers, but they certainly are loud. They certainly are loud, especially on social media.
I think you're right. I think, though, to reinforce for your listeners real quick, that 80% of Americans believe that children should have routine vaccinations like the measles, mumps, and rubella to attend school, and that includes folks, regardless of their political, background.
Yeah.
And 88% of parents say the routine vaccines are safe. So the majority of folks do believe in vaccination, believe that vaccines are safe, and support them. But you're right. I think some of the folks who oppose it manage to create a lot of controversy and attention.
Yep. Well, we thank you for helping us set the record straight.
Yes.
Right here on WBOK Good Morning Show. Appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it's been wonderful. We hope that those of you out there listening, that you take heed to what Dr. Smith has shared. And if you want to go deeper than that, feel free to look up the Robert Woods Johnson Foundation. Can you give them a way to stay in touch with the foundation?
Absolutely. So it's www.rwjf.org. And thank you so much for having me. And please have me back. I'd love to come back and talk to you and your listeners more.
All right. Thank you so much. Have a blessed day. All right, folks. It's 8:21 a.m. You got somewhere to be at 8:15. You're late. Got somewhere to be at 8:30. You might make it, depending on how much progress you've made with getting yourself and getting your things together. Remember, the school zones are in effect until 9 a.m., so watch out for our babies, our young folks, as they're heading to school, and watch out for their guardians, parents, and grannies who might be walking them along the way. You're listening to WBOK 1230 a.m. What New Orleans is talking about
all day long.
WBOK New Orleans, home of the Good Morning Show, 7 to 9 a.m. weekdays.
This news report is brought to you by New Schools for New Orleans. New Schools for New Orleans is excited to announce that our Katrina 20 exhibit, After the Storm, 20 Years of Change and Progress in New Orleans Public Education, is now open to the public. You can experience this powerful look at how our schools have transformed since Katrina at the New Orleans Public School Library's main branch, 219 Loyola Avenue, during regular business hours, now through December. Bring your friends, family members, students, and colleagues. Looking for a group visit for your school or organization? Email us at info@nsno.org.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries visited Chicago, urging Illinois lawmakers to redraw congressional maps and add a Democratic seat.
Donald Trump and Republicans have decided that they were going to try to gerrymander congressional maps as part of their effort to rig the midterm elections.
He says it's a needed response to Trump-backed redistricting in GOP-led states. The National Park Service has reinstated a statue of Confederate General Albert Pike in D.C.'s Judiciary Square. The statue was toppled and burned in 2020 protests and restored under a Trump executive order to beautify the Capitol. And crews in Tulsa, Oklahoma have discovered 42 previously unknown graves in the 1921 race massacre investigation. Forensic experts updating the investigation found a bullet in one set of remains, marking the 7th such discovery. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Looking for the right school for your child? Join the Greater New Orleans Collaborative of Charter Schools for the Charter School Admissions Fair, Tuesday, November 12th from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. at Hines Charter School in Lakeview. Meet staff and leaders from over 25 top pre-K through 12 public charter schools across Orleans and Jefferson parishes. Discover programs, ask questions, and find the perfect fit for your family. It's free and open to the public. Register now at gnocollaborative.com or just walk in. The GNO CCS Charter School Admissions Fair, your gateway to great schools.
You've got responsibilities, but that doesn't mean your dreams are on hold. At Southern University at New Orleans, our evening and weekend college is designed with your life in mind. Finish your degree, start a new one, on your time, your degree, your schedule, no excuses, just opportunity. Visit suno.edu and make your next move today.
Hey everybody, it's Graylin Bryant Banks.
And Kimber White Dupree.
From the front porch, y'all. You know how we do every Monday. It's Moving Monday.
And Tuesday, it's Trivia Tuesday.
And y'all know we have nothing but bad cheering coming through here on Wednesday.
But stick with us. On Thursday, we travel.
That's right. And Friday's Free Your Mind Friday, so get your brass up.
Something on your mind? Want to get it off your chest?
Holla at your people. WBOK 1230 AM, the station you listen to
all day long.
Good morning. I'm Daryl Forges with WDSU News, and here's your headlines. This morning, at least 2 people are recovering after being shot in Central City. New Orleans police say it happened on 2nd Street in Galvez. We're working to learn more about what led up to the shooting, the condition of the victims, and anything about a suspect. As New Orleans deals with an issue, some city leaders say the state capitol should be part of the solution when it comes to funding. Their call comes as the city prepares to ask the State Bond Commission for a $125 million loan to keep paying employees and cover city contracts. At yesterday's hearing, Councilmember Eugene Green said the state holds the keys to major economic boosters in the city. Attorney General Liz Murrow reacted to the city's cash crisis, saying that Mayor-elect Helena Moreno has pledged to and is working closely with the legislative auditor, which the AG supports, and encouraged Moreno to do so. And the stalemate continues over on Capitol Hill as the government shutdown goes into day 28. And by the end of the week, SNAP food stamp benefits will no longer have federal funding, causing concern for millions of Americans. The U.S. Department of Agriculture says it will not tap into its $6 billion contingency fund to cover food stamp benefits next month if the government shutdown continues. And here at home, Governor Jeff Landry issued an emergency order so that residents in the state will receive SNAP benefits. Landry says benefits from previous months can still be used. However, new benefits will not be loaded onto SNAP cards until the government reopens. I'm Daryl Forges, and that's your headlines for WBOK. Have a great day.
Wake up your taste buds at Inner City Brews and Bistro, home of the one-of-a-kind peach cobbler pancakes. Start your day with our soulful breakfast favorites. Then come back for bold cocktails and those oh-so-good Creole flavors that always hit just right. In the heart of Tremay, every bite feels like home. Doors open at 8:30 a.m. and find us at 1401 St. Bernard Avenue. Inner City Brews and Bistros, uniquely New Orleans, deliciously unforgettable.
Hi, this is Cary Grant. Let's elevate every Tuesday through Thursday from 6 to 7 p.m. as we discuss the community, the country, and the world, from politics to current events and sports. We look forward to your input and continuing the quality programming on your community station, WBOK. Join us every Tuesday through Thursday, 6 to 7 p.m. on Elevated Conversations, the Arnie and Cary Show.
Meet Leanna, a part-time chef and full-time mom. In the past, Leanna didn't have health insurance because she didn't think she could afford it. What she didn't realize is she qualified for Medicaid. She loves the coverage and peace of mind that comes with high-quality care. The kind of care you get with Healthy Blue. This is Medicaid, and it's for more people than you think. Maybe even you. To see if you qualify, go to myhealthybluela.com.
The Historic New Orleans Collection presents a new exhibition open through June 7th, 2026, The Trail They Blazed. Built collaboratively with people who participated in the local civil rights movement, The Trail They Blazed presents stories of social and racial justice straight from the people who lived them. Listen to leaders tell their stories of resistance and persistence in their own voices, recorded by the Historic New Orleans Collection. Plan your visit to 520 Royal Street in the French Quarter and reserve your free tickets at hnoc.org today.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, wake up.
The Good Morning Show.
Good morning.
On WBOK.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, New Orleans, and welcome back to the Good Morning Show, and welcome if you're just tuning in. Glad you're joining us. It's 8:29 a.m. You're too late to be there for 8:30, but you got a little time before 9. Be safe out there. Beautiful fall day. The one day I don't wear a cap.
That's right.
I felt that cool
the wind blows.
breeze over my head.
And
so.
be prepared for tomorrow. They said we're going to get a quote-unquote breeze or cold front. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Looking forward to that.
Time to look for those heavier jackets.
Yes.
Or even coats.
Yeah. Let's not go that far. Come on, that's not. People gonna break out the gloves and boots. Some
people they look for that opportunity to wear those things that they don't get to wear too often.
Remember, I'm from New York.
Yeah, I know.
It was still T-shirt weather on days like that.
Well, that was quite a good conversation with Dr. Smith, Vice President of Strategic Portfolios at Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. Always good to hear some facts.
Yeah.
Based on some data and some research.
Desperately needed because Mr. Kennedy he upsets my stomach every time I hear him talk about foolishness.
And it sounds like it's like, wow, that must be true. and then if you look up what he's talking about, it's like, who did this?
Yeah, that's right.
It's nothing like what she's talking about.
No.
And speaking about, some of the things that she was talking about, you mentioned to her the African connection.
Yeah.
And I wanted to get back to that because I don't think that's widely known.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it's even known by a number of people who are medical professionals, health professionals in that area. But
I pulled it up. Well, many years. Well, actually, during COVID, early days of COVID, and I was doing some research and found out about Onesimus,
yes.
who was an enslaved African. He was enslaved here in the United States. And I pulled something up. Let me just read it real quickly. It says the first vaccine in the U.S. was introduced by an enslaved African named Onesimus in 1721. To prevent the spread of smallpox.
Hold on, let's just pause on that. When?
1721, so pre-colonial United States.
Yes.
That's right. To prevent the spread of smallpox in colonial Boston, Zabdiel Boylston, a doctor, followed Onesimus' instructions and took the lymph, the colorless fluid within a smallpox vesicle, and injected it into the arm of his son and 2 enslaved people in his home. This process, known as variolation, infects a susceptible person with the smallpox virus in hopes of their developing a milder version and surviving. In 18th century Boston, people considered it superstitious and scary. Many initially refused to get it vaccinated, but Boylston experimented on other enslaved people and used their results to illustrate the effectiveness of the procedure. One legacy of this work is that the practice of vaccination in the U.S. cannot be divorced from the history of slavery. So there's 2 points here. One is, kind of rah-rah. The other one maybe not so rah-rah. The one is that, and some people, of course, question this account to some extent, but the idea that Onesimus, as an enslaved African, that he was already aware of this practice, suggesting that in Africa, that this practice had been going on, which they call variolation, which is basically taking a part of a virus and injecting it to then develop the, what do they call it, the tolerance or what have you for the virus and preventing a harmful form of the disease to come. And so that this doctor took Onesimus's advice and did this. But that the other part of this, which is unclear, is that then they further tested it on other slaves. Now, you know, our country also has a bad history of testing on us without our consent and without our, knowledge even sometimes, i.e. Tuskegee. So it's unclear about that aspect of it. But take it for what it's worth, that at least that it sounds like this idea is an African idea and concept, and then that was brought to the colonies, introduced by this enslaved African to the doctor, who then took it and ran with it. And then, of course, it became well known after that. So just an interesting fact or a relationship to our early American and pre-colonial or colonial history here in the United States as it relates to medicine.
Yeah,
So
we've been responsible for some amazing things, and
Yes.
somehow people don't want to give us credit.
Yes.
And
Still
in
fighting
this
for a
case,
full
I mean,
place.
can we
Yeah.
say the brother was responsible for the whole thing? No, but shoot.
But
He-
our
it looked like
contribution.
he got some things started.
He got the ball rolling. That's
Yeah,
right.
right.
And that's what we talk about is contribution. Just don't erase us.
Right.
Acknowledge our contribution. Some things we may have done completely, some things we participated in, but we were there.
Yep.
All right. Yeah. So interesting
Absolutely.
point.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thanks for letting me share that.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. It's a wonderful conversation with her, and wanted to expound on
Yeah,
that part
yeah.
so that we could share that with our WBOK family or listeners. Well, we're without our super producer, Naren Sanders, today. We're in with the big guy, Justin Lewis. Our general manager is behind the glass. And Mr. Justin, are we ready to roll with that segment that we talked about before? So I wanted to get back to that White House ballroom issue, because one of the things that I was about to say seems to happen. No, it happens like all the time with the Trump administration is they say something, they use old casual words and say, and it's going to be like this, and don't worry about it. It's going to be a great thing. We're making America great again. And so the ballroom was announced in that way, that it's going to be a great thing, and don't worry about the garden. This is going to be quite valuable. And then bit by bit, we get more pieces of information about what it is and what it is not, which they didn't say when they started or even a few days after. So there have been a number of reports about this, but I thought we would share with you some of the USA Today reporting about this, which goes back to July 31st, when the White House put out an announcement along with some renderings of this lavish ballroom. And as happens so often, here's the exciting news. Aren't we wonderful? But then what happens is, but we didn't tell you about this. We didn't tell you about this. So this is a report from Swapna Ramaswamy of USA Today.
White House correspondent for USA Today. President Donald Trump has wanted to build a ballroom in the White House for more than a decade, even before he first became president. Here are 5 key changes I have been tracking ever since the project was first announced by him in June on Truth Social. First is financing. The president had always said that the project would be financed fully by him. But by July, when the White House put out a formal announcement, it mentioned Patriot donors. And as it turned out, these came to include American corporations with substantial business before the US government. The second is cost. The project was supposed to cost about $200 million according to the first announcement. But by September, the cost had ballooned to $250 million, and by October, it was $300 million, a 50% increase over the first quoted rate. The third is the size. The ballroom was supposed to accommodate about 650 people, according to the July announcement, but by September, it had gone up to about 900 people, and by October, the president said it would accommodate about 999 people. Then comes location. It was supposed to be somewhere on the east side, and then the president announced that it would not be touching any of the structures, it would be near a structure. But as we all know, earlier this week, the entire East Wing was demolished. And the final one is preservation. The announcement very clearly said that appropriate organizations would be consulted during the project, but no such permits or approvals were sought before the demolition of the East Wing. When I approached the White House, they said it's because there was no permits needed for demolition and it was only needed for construction.
Wow. So I think that's a pretty good summary.
Wow.
Of what went down and how we got here. And granted, she has more reporting online and in the newspaper, but that's quite a summary, isn't it?
Surprise, not surprise.
Right.
You know,
right.
It's par for the course.
Yeah. But to destroy a wing of a historic...
No permit needed for demolition, just because...
Yeah. Well,
so I guess he could tear down the whole White House.
Yeah.
Since there's no permit needed.
Yeah.
Huh?
Right. Whether you live uptown, downtown, New Orleans East or Gentilly, Bywater or Holly Grove, you try to say I'm just demolishing a room because I'm going to make it better and see what happens.
That's right. That's right.
That's right. They're not going to wait on your new plans for your new bedroom or your new half of house or your new extended or even your mother-in-law suite that you're adding.
Yes.
That's
no permit needed for demolition. Just start tearing stuff down. Don't worry about the electrical and the plumbing. You know, no need for pre-approval about all of that. How you gonna handle that, right?
Well, there's so much wrong with this, and part of it is granted symbolic that you have an East Wing and a West Wing in the main White House, where any elected president and his spouse or his family, if he has kids or relatives, can live. And in the case of relatives, let me just go back to President Obama's term where he and Michelle Obama raised their girls there
mother-in-law.
with his mother-in-law.
Yeah.
So she was there too. But that comes with the territory. So this isn't about who Trump should or shouldn't have living in the White House, but it is about what the White House represents and how it's used. I do want to point out that the East Wing is where the First Lady has her offices.
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't think the First Lady has an office over there anymore.
I don't think so. And
I don't think she wants an office.
Well,
you don't hear much. You haven't heard. I haven't heard anything about the First Lady. Doing anything of substance.
Yep.
At all. But I'm not surprised. Even in their first term, I know she attempted to do something called Be Best Foundation or whatever, and people said, well, first of all, that's not good grammar, but to be best. But I don't think that really ever got off the ground anyway, from what I remember.
Right.
So.
And the East Wing is, for those of you who remember back to the Obama days, when they did some different things. All presidents have had some kind of performances and all.
When the Saints won the Super Bowl, they celebrated in the East Wing.
That's right.
They met around Obama.
Yep.
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
So that wing of the White House has been used for a number of things that are traditional with every presidency, Democrat or Republican. And another thing that has happened in the East Wing is when the Obamas had those performances with some top level musicians and entertainers, and some of the folks who have been invited to those places are talking about the distinction that gave them in the audience, sitting in a room with the president and the first lady.
Yes.
Even though it was for 200, 250 people, but that's way more intimate than sitting in a room with 1,000 people.
That's right. Yeah.
So things like that.
Yeah.
And it just sounds tawdry to me.
Yeah, and to be clear, President Obama did some renovation also.
Every president does.
Yeah, but he went through. Well, I mean, he did some. They said some substantial, not as big as this, but something. But that he also went through all those procedures that we mentioned in terms of getting the permits and the review by the architectural and historical people and everything. So
because after all, it's not their house.
It's not their house. Yeah.
All right, we got a call. Good morning, Raquel. You're on with Will Sutton and Dr. Sanders.
All right. Good morning, Will. Good morning, Dr. Sanders.
Good morning.
How y'all doing?
Great.
I was calling to chime in on the topic that y'all talking about for us with the president and the new wing that he approved. I know, Will. I knew you was gonna bring that back and roll that topic back because I know you wasn't finished with it. So good job, Will. So for us with that topic, now y'all know President Donald Trump is doing that whole wing and brand new ballroom because he already know the situation with his fellow Americans that he tried to make so great again, that he wanted to make sure that he had a brand new ballroom to invite all Americans to come to the White House since he then took all the SNAP benefits away. He making sure he had room to come invite us all for Thanksgiving dinner.
All right.
There you go.
You ready for your invite, huh?
Next year.
I believe you, brother. I believe you.
All right.
All right, y'all
All right.
take care,
Take
Will.
care.
And great job again, Will. Thank
right.
you.
Thank you so much. Have a blessed day. All right. You're listening to Good Morning Show on WBOK 1230 a.m. It is 8:45 a.m., 15 minutes until it's 9 o'clock. And you know what's happening at 9. You got the front porch coming up right after us. Meanwhile, we're going to be going to break, but we want to give you that phone number again because we'd love to hear from you. 504-582-9422, 504-582-9422. There was a big decision yesterday about the study of New Orleans East as a part of looking at a significant revival. And we're going to talk about that right after the break. WBOK 1230 a.m. what New Orleans is talking about all day long.
This is your news update for WBOK from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
Partly cloudy and warm today with highs ranging from about 79 to 83 degrees. We'll see increasing clouds this evening as a cold front approaches tonight, bringing along a few showers, leaving out by early Wednesday morning. Big changes for Wednesday, much cooler. And eventually we'll see highs only rising into the upper 60s, lower 70s. Very windy conditions are expected. From the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Reed.
Norman Robinson is back.
Can you hear me now?
And he's taking no prisoners.
Can you hear me now?
Each weekday, Norman Robinson brings you commentary with Off the Top.
The incident was shocking, disturbing, disgusting, disappointing, and sad.
Each weekday, Off the Top with Norman Robinson is heard exclusively right here.
It's Off the Top. with Norman Robinson on WBOK 1230
A
AM.
message from the community scientist. Do you live or work in St. James, St. John, St. Charles, Ascension, Calcasieu, Baton Rouge, or St. Bernard Parish? You may be exposed to harmful chemicals like phthalates, BPA, and flame retardants found in everyday products but linked to serious health risks. That's why the Community Scientist, a program of Rise St. James, brings you clear, science-based facts that protect your health and our environment. Stay informed, stay empowered. Visit risestjames.org today.
You've got responsibilities, but that doesn't mean your dreams are on hold. At Southern University at New Orleans, our evening and weekend college is designed with your life in mind. Finish your degree, start a new one, on your time, your degree, your schedule. No excuses, just opportunity. Visit suno.edu and make your next move today.
Ever notice that everyone always wants more of a good thing? More rewards, more savings, more special offers? Well, when you become a new member of the Fuel Rewards program at Shell, that's exactly what you get, more. Join today to save 10 cents per gallon on your first fill, 20 cents on the second, and 30 cents on the third. Then enjoy everyday savings afterwards. Want more? Then head to Shell where members get more.
Offer valid from 4/21/25 through 10/31/25 at participating Shell locations. Offer must be redeemed within 60 days of registration. Limit 20 gallons. Restrictions apply. Visit fuelrewards.com/join25 for more information.
Hi, I'm Jessica with Entergy New Orleans, and I'm a customer too. I'm proud to say our rates are 21% below the national average. Every day, our team is focused on keeping costs lower for you. We take affordability personally because this is our home too. We work harder and smarter to fight rising costs, while also improving reliability for years to come. This isn't just my job, it's a commitment to my community. Together, we power life. Entergy.
Visit DePaul's new Algiers Health Center at 2801 General de Gaulle Drive to receive primary and preventive care for both adults and children. Services also include behavioral health, imaging, and on-site pharmacy, vision, Medicaid enrollment assistance, and more. For appointments, visit DePaulCommunityHealthCenters.org or call 504-207-3060. Hey everybody, it's Kimber White Dupree.
And it's Graylin Bryant Banks from the front porch. We're coming up next.
Good morning, Wake Up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK.
And with me is Pastor Torrin Sanders.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Only got 10 more minutes.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yep. 10 more minutes. But we're going to do what we can do with it.
That's right.
Inform the people and get a little engagement going. And then we will be making way for Kimber and Graylin and the front porch. You know, before the break, we said that there was some important news that happened yesterday. And, of course, we're in a budget crunch. Mm-hmm. We have at least a $160 million deficit. The City Council approved seeking a municipal payday loan, which is going to cost us a lot more money than the amount that we're requesting. But meanwhile, the mayor and City Council have to look for ways to trim the budget for next year, which must be approved by early December. And they also have to find ways to bring in more revenue.
Yep.
So the mayor announced yesterday that one of the things that she is cutting, not is proposing, one of the things she is cutting is a long-awaited economic development study for New Orleans East. Now, if you listen to WBOK, any time of day, but particularly in the Good Morning Show, you know New Orleans East, New Orleans East, New Orleans East comes up a lot. It's not like we don't love the other parts of the city. It's not like other parts of the city, other neighborhoods don't have needs. But New Orleans East is such a big part of the city with a large number of people and a large landmass where so many things can be done.
Yeah, and this aspect also, and they were, along with the lower Ninth Ward, most impacted by Katrina.
Absolutely.
In terms of the level of devastation. And yet, the question remains, did they get their fair share of the recovery dollars based upon the level of devastation? And so that still, because this is still a post-Katrina heightened issue. I just wanted to add that in.
Absolutely. That's important context, because sometimes, I mean, let's face it. I mean, we live in different parts of the city or the region, and we have some places that we normally go, so much so that we can get in the car and we don't need a GPS. We don't need it. We don't need Waze. We just get in the car and we go. But these are places that we normally go. We go here for church. We go here for Bible study. We go here to shop for this kind of groceries. We go to this drugstore. We go to this school. We go this place for work. But there's some people who maybe don't travel to New Orleans East often or at all, and so they haven't had a chance on any regular basis to see the damage and the possibilities.
That's
I mean, there's so many things that are possible. Well, last year, the city council agreed to set aside $1 million in the 2005 budget. That's this budget, to fund this study, which was intended to catalog land parcels, infrastructure, and input from the different neighborhoods in the East as a way of looking more closely at what can be done and what needs to be done. If you live, work, or play in New Orleans East, frankly, you don't really need a study to know that. But this was a way of having some official understanding of what is needed. And a consultant was selected.
And probably an attempt, you're right, to get the attention of everybody else to say, hey, this is it on paper. If you need to see it one more time on paper. You know, I did live in New Orleans East for a few years. Before I got married, I lived in Frenchman's Wharf.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
okay.
Right. I was a New Orleans East man, and during that, and you know, I think, you know, I don't know, people consider, you know, the 80s, early 90s, the heyday of New Orleans East, or maybe even before that. But yeah, there it was a place to be. And still is. I'm sure. I'm not trying to, you know, but but so people think, you know, there was a there. That the question is, well, why not? Why can't we put it back there, or put it even back better than it was? You know, and so, you know, whether the study is going to be done or not, you know, I know the new mayor-elect has said that she's going to put an office, a city office out there in the East. And so hopefully, even with the budget crisis, that promise can be kept, because this is the bottom line for me, that the better New Orleans East becomes, the better New Orleans becomes. And so I don't know if everybody believes that, but that is the truth and the case.
Well, this is a report from my colleague Blake Patterson at the Times-Picayune, NOLA.com. So it's not like this was a big announcement. Because what happened was that in talking with City Planning Commission Executive Director Robert Rivers at a round of budget hearings on yesterday, it came up that this study was being stopped. And that set off Mr. Oliver Thomas, who represents District E, including most of New Orleans East. And let's just say he went off.
He wasn't happy.
No, he was not happy, and he let everybody know. And he said something to the effect of, how do we pass a budget, repeatedly pass budgets, and then have this administration say the money isn't there? Well, he does have something else to say. But okay. But you can go online and check that out if you like. But he had more to say, and the budget proposal that they're working on now is a draft, and City Council and the mayor are working on what it will look like with such devastating financial news. But this is, I don't think this is good news for people in New Orleans East. We both know that if you spend enough time in New Orleans East, you can see what's needed.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean everything is devastation. And it certainly doesn't mean everything is crime, because that's not true.
Yeah. No, the candidates yesterday both dispelled the notion that it's crime ridden. No, they've had a great crime reduction there, and it's prime for investment. So we hope good things happen. You know, maybe Brian Kelly can help the former coach of LSU, because he's going to get $800,000 a month to sit at home for many months as part of his buyout. So call Coach Kelly.
Yeah, we're not going to have time to hear what you all have to say about that today. But I'd love to know, what would you do with $800,000 a month to stay at home, go to the golf course, or go and play pool or ping pong, or go take walks, and know that you got $800,000 being automatically put into your bank account every single month. And the news connected to that is that a major private donor who demands being confidential and anonymous said that he or she
going to cover up
almost all of that millions of dollars.
Yes.
Imagine being that rich. and being rich enough that you will pay that much money for somebody who's leaving the job.
That's right. That's right. They'll pay to get rid of them.
Absolutely. It's 8:59 a.m. Thank you for joining us on the Good Morning Show. Thank you to Ms. Jones and Raquel for calling in. Thank you for Ryan McGowan for calling in. Thank you so much for Dr. Lauren Smith, who educated us about vaccines today. And Facebook people, we see you. Jacqueline, Karen, John, Fern, Sean, Sam, Dolores, Paul, and I know there's some others, but we got to go, and we're going to be making way for the front porch. Looks like we got Kemba in the house, and Eddie Francis right here next on WBOK 1230 AM, what New Orleans is talking about.
All day long.
Have you heard the secret of